Hello, everyone. My name is Molly Halsey, and I'm the event specialist here at Enterprise DB. I will be your host today for our webinar, Installing Postgres on Windows. I'm joined today by our Pulse of Postgres host, Mark Linster, our Senior Vice President of Product Development and Support, and Bruce Momgen, co-founder of Postgres SQL Global Development Group and Database Architect at Enterprise DB. And we are also with special guest Sandeep Takar, our Senior Configurations Manager. Before we get started, I just want to go through a few housekeeping items. This presentation is being recorded. We will be sharing the recording along with the slides after the broadcast. The lines are currently muted. If you have a question, please feel free to submit it in the question panel. Today's session is scheduled for 1 hour. We expect the presentation to last about 50 minutes, and we will allot extra time for Q&A. If we do not have time to address all questions, we will follow up afterward with any attendee whose question was not answered. Now, without further ado, here are Bruce, Mark, and Sandeep.
All right. Thank you, Molly. Thank you. Thank you. So let's just recap a little bit before we get into it. On the Pulse of Postgres. So what have we done in the past? You can see here that we started in August with what's new in Postgres 12. Then looked at Postgres on Linux, on containers. Now we're looking at Postgres on Windows. October 23rd, Tom Brown will join us to talk about JSON and JSON Path. Then Bruce will do a special session on November 6th about programming with common table expressions. And then on November 20th, we will have Aziz join us on discussing how to use Kubernetes operators for setting up a highly available Postgres. So let me dig into this. So today we're going to talk about installing Postgres on Windows. So on our agenda is very quickly, I'll just talk about who is EDB, talk a little bit about the EDB Postgres platform, and then we'll dig into the one-click installer. Sandeep will take us through a demo of how to install Postgres on Windows, both interactively and from a command line, and then we'll have plenty of time to talk about what's next on Postgres. Before we get into the details, just like every time, we have a giveaway for anybody who dials in, asks us a question, gives us a business address, a pair of nice and warm socks, EDB logoed socks. So if you ask us a question and give us a business address and you're in the U.S. and EMEA, we'll send you a pair of socks, which especially now, looking at New England winter coming soon, might be a very timely takeaway. So
I can speak highly of the socks, so I wear them quite often.
Even though Bruce lives further south, he still knows that it can get quite cold.
Well, they're not really super thick, so I wore them in Bali last month, and they were very good.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so I'll go briefly over who is EDB. I promise I won't spend more than just a couple of minutes on it. And then we'll talk a little bit about the EDB Postgres platform, why that matters, and then we'll dive into the one-click installer. So who is EDB? We're really the largest contributor to PostgreSQL today. We're the largest company actively involved in the work around Postgres, the Postgres community, but also adding significant enhancements to Postgres. We've been around for 15 years. I'll talk briefly about the recognition that we got from Gartner and Forrester. Today we have over 4,000 customers, more than 300 employees worldwide, and we're really strongly invested in the Postgres community and in the work that we do there. I mentioned Gartner, and a remarkable thing with Gartner, since they restarted their Magic Quadrant for operational database management systems 6 years ago, Postgres, represented through Enterprise DB, has been in the Magic Quadrant every single time. Now, the number of participants in the Magic Quadrant has really dropped. So the number of companies where Gartner says, hey, they have the ability to execute and they have the completeness of vision has been reduced significantly. But Postgres and Enterprise DB have been in the Magic Quadrant every year. Now, there's one remarkable thing about this Magic Quadrant. If you go back through the last couple of years, there were more open source relational databases in there, and those have all disappeared from the Magic Quadrant. So that's a real endorsement of Postgres, and obviously also Enterprise DB as the company driving Postgres forward in the enterprise. So that's something to absolutely keep in mind. On the other side, we are obviously, investing significantly in getting more customers. We have over 4,000 customers today. Here are just a few of those, where I can show the logo. And one thing I know, because Bruce and Sandeep and I work with quite a few of these customers, is they're not just using Postgres for small applications under a desk somewhere. Many of these companies here are running Postgres for very large mission-critical applications, and that's really where Postgres is now seeing its success. So we can proudly say today that over 100 of the Fortune 500 run Enterprise DB Postgres, and a larger number actually within the Global 2000. So this is not just a U.S. phenomenon. This is happening all over the world. Postgres is definitely leading the charge here. I mentioned that we do a lot of work with Gartner and obviously also with large enterprise customers, but we also have a very significant investment in on the open source side of the house. So EDB is committed to driving open source Postgres forward. We have created an add-on to open source Postgres and a lot of tools around open source Postgres, but the core of what we will talk about today and what this whole Pulse of Postgres is about PostgreSQL, the open source database. So obviously, part of our open source team here is Bruce Momjian, who's co-hosting this with me, but then also others that you will hear frequently when you go to Postgres events or when you read about Postgres, such as Dave or Andres, Amit, Devram, Robert Haas. Devram did the Pulse of Postgres with me on installation on Linux because he is the leading packager in the community for packaging Postgres for RPMs on RHEL and CentOS and also other formats. And then we have a lot of other contributors, Rusha, Dalit, Jivan, Mithun, Ashutosh, Ashesh, Amul, Akshay, and others who are named contributors to the Postgres project or the PG admin project. So while you see a lot of what we do on the commercial side, we are definitely committed to driving open source Postgres forward.
Mark, you didn't mention Debian there as an Ubuntu Debian. That's also an option, right?
Oh, yes. Sorry, thank you for mentioning that. While the majority of our Linux customers today are on RHEL or CentOS, Ubuntu and Debian and SLES and Linux on Power are distributions that we support, and where also Devram plays a significant role, keep them up and running. So, and we see a lot more interest lately in Debian and Ubuntu. So thanks, Bruce. Okay, I mentioned briefly about EDB Postgres Advanced Server. I want to mention it here because I want to make sure everybody's aware that there are two choices there in the on the Postgres on the side of Postgres. Obviously, PostgreSQL, the open source database, is leading the charge, and the majority of the features are in PostgreSQL. However, based on customer demand, we've added capabilities to PostgreSQL, and we've created Postgres Advanced Server, which is a managed fork that's continuously synchronized with PostgreSQL, releases just as often as PostgreSQL, and has all the capabilities of PostgreSQL, but we've added some things that are not available in PostgreSQL, such as native PLSQL compatibility, Oracle packages, things like Pragma Autonomous Transaction, query hints, and a bunch of other things. an EDB loader for fast bulk loads, which again is compatible with the SQL loader that Oracle has, and a number of enhanced security features for auditing, data redaction, password policy management, and also better or improved wait states diagnostics. So again, Postgres Advanced Server is something that a lot of our customers are using. It's a superset of PostgreSQL with a set of features that that our customers have asked for. So I'm going to go now and hand it over to Sandeep to talk about what he's going to show us in the demo, and then we're going to go to a quick survey and then dive into the demo. Right?
All right, thanks, Mark. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to share details on how you can install Postgres on Windows. This is kind of third in the series of how you can deploy Postgres on various platforms. In the last session, Shakti demonstrated on how to install Postgres on containers. And before that, Devrim shared with us how you can deploy Postgres on Linux platforms using native packages. So here is a quick flow of the demonstration, what we're going to see today. So I'll share with you how you can get the one-click installer for Windows. And then the installer supports multiple installation modes to facilitate deployment in any environment. We have the GUI mode, which is an interactive installation mode, and where the X window is available. We have the text mode, is another option to install the installer, where the X window is not available, but it's a console based. But this doesn't apply to Windows, but it does apply to the Linux and the macOS installers. Then we have unattended mode, and it's a non-interactive mode of installation and can be used to deploy software across a large number of servers in an automated fashion, or if you want to just bundle the Postgres installer in your installer and install it silently. So I'll talk about that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
It feels like the Windows installer is significantly different than all the other operating systems. Is that right? In terms of it's not really integrated with any kind of package manager. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We use the Bitrock installer tool, which has a native look and feel if you can install on Windows. So it's not a native packages, because on Linux we do have the native packages. We can have the installer, but on Windows that's the only thing.
It really addresses, Bruce, the needs for most of our customers, because we see Windows used a whole lot by developers or people who first start experiencing Postgres. So we were looking for something to make the installation and initial experience of Postgres very, very easy. So it aligns completely with how you would usually install software on Windows, as Sandeep will show us. You download it, you click on it, it asks you 4 or 5 questions, and boom, you're up and running, right? Whereas on Linux, we have switched from also having used in the past one-click installers to now native packages such as RPMs and APTs, because there we see much more the strong command line integration with the native packaging systems such as the RPM. So it's a different approach, very much driven by the predominant use case on Windows, where we see a lot more developers and smaller installations running on Windows.
Right thing. And then we'll also see the various command line options whereby you can override the default values. And once the installation done, we can peep into the post installation, like how the menus look like and how you can launch different applications from menus. We will also talk about the registry entries. And then finally, we'll talk about the package manager, stack builder, how you can use the package manager to patch the existing installation, or maybe if you want to download some PostgreSQL add-ons like Postgres, Slow replication, so how you can use that. So I'll start with the demonstration. Molly, if you can allow me to share the screen, please.
Yeah, do we want to go through one quick survey of our audience first before we do that? So again, here, if you wouldn't mind taking a couple of seconds to fill this in, And we'll share the results here with everybody at the end because these data are always very, very interesting data. So we're seeing here, our vote count is going up. So right now we're at close to 30% of the audience having voted. Yeah, we're crossing 50%. And yeah, we're seeing, as always, the results stabilizing. This feels like election night, you know. So now we're seeing 40, which is not surprising. 45% using it as a development platform, 3% as a production platform, 28% saying, hey, for both, and then about a quarter of the audience saying, I have no plans to use Postgres on Windows. So very interesting results. When we send out the document afterwards, those details will be
Wow.
included. So, yeah, it's very.
That's 4%. Look at that. My goodness.
Yeah, and even on a presentation that is specifically addressing Windows,
Wow.
and just for everybody here to know, we did a similar survey or an analysis of our support tickets 6 years ago, and at that point in time, Windows was about 20% of our customer base. Today, we are estimating it to 5 to 10%, and that's very much in line. With what we're seeing here. Obviously, this is a Windows-specific audience as we talk about the Windows installation, but it's still quite it's still significant for us to hear that 26% are using Postgres for both production and for development.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, let's switch over to Deep now.
Sure. Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Molly, do you, I didn't get this option to share the screen. You
Yes,
can do
did you
that.
receive the share the screen option?
Usually I get a pop-up in the center of my screen and it just says, do you want to share?
Yeah, I didn't get that pop-up yet.
Okay, then you have to go up to the top, I think, and there's a
Oh yeah,
share
now I
option up
receive it.
there. Okay.
Now I receive it. Okay. Is it visible now?
And, yes, and just to the audience, last time when we did the demo for how to install on containers, Shakti and I ritually sacrificed a whole lot of donuts to the gods of the demo. And obviously, Sandeep, I guess you didn't do that. Maybe because donuts are kind of rare in Pune. So next time, I'll take the task of ritually sacrificing donuts before the demos. Okay. All right, let's get rolling.
All right, great. So let me show you how you can download the PostgreSQL installer. So the postgresql.org. Okay, here there's a download option. As you can see, we want Windows, so let me click Windows here. All right, this is interactive installer by Enterprise DB. Let me click this link, download the installer, which would redirect to enterprisedb.com page. Great. As we can see, the installer supports on Mac and Windows. Let me download the Windows one. We'll download the 11.5, and that's it. It starts downloading. At the same time, by the time it's downloaded, let me also show you how you can download the EDB Postgres Advanced Server installer. So since this is already on enterprisedb.com, and here's the download link, let me click on this. Okay, great. This is EDB Postgres Advanced Server. Let me click on download. Okay, so let's download the interactive installer for Windows for V11 version. Okay, it just needs a quick registration you can do and you'll be able to download it. I have the account already, so let me log in with my credentials.
While this registration is going through, you saw on the prior screen for the download that for older versions of PostgreSQL and Postgres Advanced Server, we do have one-click installers for Linux available. So that is a way how our customers used to install Postgres, but recently the trend has clearly been towards native packages such as RPMs and ABTs.
Right. So it's getting downloaded, but I already have them downloaded just to save time. But still, this is very fast. You download it as well. So Postgres and the advanced server both like are almost similar as far as the installation goes. Uh, the Postgres advanced server contains a couple of extra slides, so I'm going to show you that. But otherwise, even if you want to use the PostgreSQL, the installation steps remain same. Maybe there is one or two changes like the database super user on PostgreSQL will be Postgres, and maybe it would be Enterprise DB on the advanced server. But rest of the things would be exactly same. So I'm going to show you this one. Okay, so you need an administrator. So let me run it as an administrator because the installer, after extracting all the files, it would create the service and create the registry entries that would require the administrator privileges. So here you go. This is the screen, the welcome screen. As you can see, it's 11.5.12 version. The license agreement. Once you accept, you can move ahead. This is the installation location where the files will be installed. This is the default location, but you can change it by typing whatever you want, or maybe you can just click on this browse folder and choose the the installation location where you want to install the files. I'll keep it default for now, but you can change it. This is the selected components. Apart from the database server, it also contains the pgadmin 4. The pgadmin is a nice tool to manage the Postgres database. It also includes the Stack Builder Plus, which is the package manager. As I mentioned previously, you can use it to patch your installation, or you can use it to download the Postgres add-on components. This command line tools contains the binaries, the command line tools like pgdump, pgrestore, pgbase backup, and it also includes the third-party libraries. So this is one difference between the installer, where it bundles all the third-party libraries, and which is not true in the RPMs, where the native packages make use of the libraries from the operating system. All right, the next is additional directories, data directory location. Once again, you can choose it wherever you want to have the data directory installed. This is the wall directory. This is default location, but you can change it where you want to install it. A lot of people would like to choose their own location to install the wall files, but for now I'll keep the default. Or this is the advanced server dialect. So advanced server supports the compatibility with Oracle, and it comes with its own features. So you can choose the compatible with Oracle, but just in case if you don't want to do that and you want to have a compatibility with Postgres, then you can choose that as well. So let me go with the default value, compatible with Oracle. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is super user enterprise DB. This is the default database super user, and to protect that user, you need the passwords. You can provide the password here on the screen. For the PostgreSQL installer, the super username would be Postgres by default. So let me give the password here. This is a default port where the server would listen on, and this is a locale. By default, it uses the system locale. You can choose whatever you want. I'll go with the default. This is one feature which is available in advanced server, where you can tune the database server. Like if you're a developer and want to quickly test the Postgres, then you can choose a development one, which basically means it would set the edb underscore dynatune directive in the postgresql.conf to 33. So that low value dedicates the least amount of host machines resources to the database server. So this is a good choice for a development machine. But if you're installing Postgres on an application server where you have the other applications running, you can choose this. So this would set that parameter to value 66. If you want to install, if you want to install on a dedicated server, you can select the dedicated option. This would set the value to 100. That means it indicates most of the system resources would be available to the database server. So I'll go with the general purpose, or let me go with general purpose for now. It's a default option. This is another performance tuning option available in advanced server. Workload profile. Uh, Depending on the your use, if you want database to like would be using for the transaction processing, the heavy transaction processing, you can choose this option. If you have a large amount of data reporting, you can choose this option. Otherwise, go with general to support both. If you want a notification whenever there is an update, you can uh, have this option selected, which is called install update notification service. All right, this is the pre-installation summary. As you can see, you can clearly see where the files would be installed, installation directory, where the server files will go, where the data directory will be created, and where the wall files will be created. What's the database port? What is the database super user? And this is a service account under which the Postgres service runs. By default, it is network service on Windows. We use that. The service name, and obviously the installation directories for the rest of the components. And that's it. So setup is ready to begin installation, and let me click it. So by the time it's installed, let me also show you. Let's say if you do not want the default values, but you want to override it. Obviously, you can change it during this installation. But if you want the unattended mode installation, and at the same time you want to change the default values or override the default values, so we are going to see that now. Let me go to this directory where we have downloaded the installer. Right, so the installer provides a very good help. With hyphen hyphen help will give you all these command line options that an installer supports. Yep, here you go. So as you can see, there are so many options. So for example, you want to have a different super account, you can use this option and set your super user to some other user. So similarly, you can override all a lot of the default values, the data directory location, the xlog directory location, super password, the prefix, the installation directory where you want to install it. The other thing, instead of specifying the option like hey, the data dir c, let's say pg data, the prefix would be some other thing. So you can either specify on the command line all these option, or the better way is to put everything in a option file. So I have pre-created this option file here. I'll open it for you. As you can see, this is a data dir. So I've specified a different location. There's a non-default location. If I want my data directory to be created in this location, I can specify here. This is xlog location, the server utilization, which we had seen in the screen. By default, it was 66. But if we want the 33, the server utilization, that means for development purpose, we can set this value. So how do you run it? All right, this installation is completed, by the way, but let me first finish this thing. We're not going to install it, but I'm going to show you how you can um, pass this value. So this is an option file, and EDB properties. All right, and just run it. All right, let me go ahead. I'm not going to install it again, but okay, since that is already installed. Okay, but this is the way, to override the all the default values, the option file. And if you want to install it in unattended mode, you can just specify it like this, and it would do the unattended mode or uninteractive way of installation. Okay, we're not going to run that because we have already installed it. So this is last screen. The installation is
Sandeep,
done.
Sandeep, let me just
Yeah.
ask you one. These modes with the configuration file and the unattended mode, they're available on the PostgreSQL open source installer too, right?
Yes.
Because, and then just for everybody to understand, it is the same team that develops both, so they're very, very much in line. It's actually Sandeep's team.
Yes, the both are built using the same installer tool. So everything is mostly same except these two features and the super user default value. But otherwise, uh, all the features which are available in EDB Postgres, those are available in the PostgreSQL installer as well. All right. For now, I'm not going to launch the stack builder. I'll show you how you can um, launch it later from the menu. So installation is done. If you want more details, you can actually look at the installation guides, which can be found here on enterprisedb.com /edb-docs, and here it is for advanced server installation guide on Windows, which is available in HTML format and the PDF format as well. So which covers all these slides in detailed explanation of those slides, so you can go through it. It's a nice doc, and there is a search button also if you're looking for a specific documentation. All right, let us go to the menus. So as you can see, there's a EDB Postgres menu is created, under which you can see all these options. And here is the pSQL if you want to connect to the database. Let me click that. So the default values, localhost, the database is EDB, port 5444. Username is enterprise DB because we kept it default. This is a password, and that's it. You're connected. All right. Sorry, there's typo here. All right. Right. And let's see what we have more. This is a pgadmin tool. This is stack builder. Let me open pgadmin for you. So this is the installation location. As you can see, there is a data directory, and there's an uninstaller which is also created. Or it's a pgadmin just launching now. All right. So all right, let me connect to the database. Let me put the password here. All right, so this is pgadmin. So the installer contains this tool as well. All right, let me show you how to use the Stack Builder Plus. So it's available in the menu. All right, so let's choose the available database, and let's go ahead. As you can see, we have add-ons, tools, and utilities. We have some database drivers, JDBC, ODBC, OCI, ODBC. This is a database server. If you want to patch the installation, and if there is a new update available, you'll be able to see the new version here, and you can uh, check this and install it. Okay, I'm not going to do it now because it's the same version. It says it's already installed. The same version. The Enterprise DB tools, which has the PEM agent, the PEM server, some modules. These are the contrib modules, replication solutions like Slowney. There's a spatial extension like Postgres. Just click on this, go ahead, and it will just do the installation for you.
So one of the reasons for Stack Builder is basically to make the maintenance of your installation a lot easier, right? When Sandeep selected before, you want to be notified of upgrades and new packages. Stack Builder will continuously compare your local installation with a catalog that is published and maintains the list of latest components. So if there is an upgrade available, you'll be notified that indeed there is an upgrade available.
How will you be notified, Mark?
Here there is an update manager available, so that would give, if you see, okay, this is for the PG admin. Hold on, let me show you where's the update monitor.
You basically get a message in the control bar on Windows.
In the control bar. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
not getting an email or anything like that, or a SMS. It's just basically on the desktop somewhere. It'll tell you have an upgrade.
Yes,
Very much,
yes.
it's very much focused on the way Microsoft Windows works, right? On Unix, obviously, on Linux, we would do it differently and send you, notices differently.
All right, so this is download is done, and if you click next, it would start the installation. Or you can, the other option is if you want to skip the installation now, you can install it later on. That also is possible. But see, this has launched the Postgres installer. All right, it needs the database advanced server installation details. Let me add the password. So you'll see the Postgres progress bar in all the installations. It's creating the uninstaller and done. So suppose this is also installed, and let me finish the Stack Builder Plus. So this is done. All right, so we have seen the PG-admin, how you can launch the PG-admin, how you can launch the psql. Obviously you can go to the command prompt and execute from there as well, but this menu gives the shortcuts here. So let me quickly show you the registries, because that is the way the installer knows that the installation already exists, and when you run the update, it would not try to create the data directory again. It would use the same one, and it would just dump the new binaries there. So, PostgreSQL installation PG plus AS. So here is the registry entries. As you can see, the version, we have the PG-admin version as well. This, which is a service account, the service name, the super username, and the version. All right, I think we have covered almost everything. Mark, you want me to go ahead and show this unattended mode installation? Or let me just.
Yeah, I think if we, just show quickly how that works. Because again, for
Okay,
somebody who wants to do larger scale installations on Windows, on several servers, obviously the unattended mode is the preferred mode.
Right. So, okay, I'm not uninstalling the previous one, but let's see how it behaves. Uh, so this is more hyphen mode unattended. This is how you can start the unattended mode installation. It would just give you this pop-ups, the progress bar, where you can see that the installation is happening. But it would not. It would be a non-interactive way of installation. Well, if you don't want this progress bar and you want a complete silent installation, that is also possible. There is a sub option in the unattended mode, which is called unattended mode UI equal to none. So that would hide this pop-up as well. That is also possible.
And I assume you'd use the options file probably because that's how you control the defaults. Is that right?
Yes. So for now, I've not used the option file because we have already done the installation.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
yeah, right.
Or I guess you could also specify the command line options in unattended mode. So I guess either way,
Yes.
it would allow you to
Yes.
do that.
Yeah, but sometimes the command line options, if you're using so many options, the option file is a better choice. But yeah, if there is just one or two parameters which you want to override, you can specify on the command line.
Mark, do we send out emails to registered people about upgrades to tell them they're available, or is that really only something that happens through this upgrade tool?
No, we do. For all of our customers, all of our registered users, whenever there is a minor or major update, they get a what we call a tech update, which basically says, "Hey, this is what it is. Who should care? How urgent is this?" And then also lists the features and bugs that were fixed with with the customer service reference. So if you're a customer and you're waiting for a fix, you will actually be notified that your customer service reference has now been addressed. So and that happens on PostgreSQL and server at least on a quarterly basis because we're following the community process there of having a patch release at least every quarter. Or if there's something more urgent, obviously it happens right when it's needed.
Right, and then how do we do this for community? If somebody's registered on the website and then they just download the community version, are they getting a notification or?
If they've registered as a customer, yes, but
Okay.
for the community, we do not require registration, right? That's part of how
Right,
we
right, right.
work. So if you're not registered, we're obviously, we don't know who you are, and we can't notify you of an update.
Right. When you're using like a package manager, which we have on the other operating systems, you're getting some notification through
Correct.
Yum or through Debian packages that there's an update available. So you see that. But on Windows, it appears the only real notification you're going to get is that little like pop up at the bottom. And I'm trying to understand our production installs, basically every day going and looking at the screen of their server to see if there's any notifications there. Like, is that the MO or the way that you have to find out about these things?
No, because
I
if
guess.
you're a production install and an EDB customer, whether you are a customer for support or a customer for the advanced server, you will get an email notification saying that a new version of PostgreSQL or a new version of the high availability tool or the backup tool is available for you. So
Right.
interactively, you would get it right on your desktop, but obviously, yeah, most people don't log into a server interactively. So for that use case, you do get an email.
Right. And if you aren't a customer, then and you just download a community, you'd have to, I guess, subscribe to one of the community notification email lists to get that information. I
Right.
guess that's the only way you'd know.
Yeah. Because we don't, community downloads, we do not request a registration with us. So that's,
Right. There's no way
part
for
of
us
our,
to, yeah. Yeah, it just feels like there's a hole there. Like with now that and most people are doing the RPMs and the Debian packages, we've got that notification kind of wrapped up in the whole OS upgrade. And on Windows for pure community installs, it's really just that little notification bar, unless you're an EDB customer, or you have to subscribe to the announce channel, I guess, for the community to find those, get that release information.
Correct.
All right, we have some more options. If you can explore it, like if you want to edit the postgresql.conf, you can directly do it from the menu, and you can change the values for whatever directives you want. So that's it. I think we are done for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandeep. So now
Sandeep,
back to Molly. Okay, go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
one question, Sandeep, when you did the settings that said this is a production server, this is a development server, this is a data warehouse server, and so forth, is my understanding in advanced server those can also be changed in the config file, even though you set them at install time, you can still change them in the config file and then restart the server. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So it's like installation. If you want to make that change, then you can do it during the installation. Uh, so those values. Otherwise, yes, you can change it later on in the postgresql.conf.
So you're not stuck with those values, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to questions now. I think quite a few questions came in, and let's see what we can address.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark, Bruce, and Sandeep. So the first question that we have is there an offline installer for systems that do not have internet access?
Yes. So basically, you can download the installer and run it disconnected, right? So you can download it and move it to, so you can download it on your workstation and then move it to a server that is disconnected. That's the standard mode of operation. And then for Linux versions, we have the same thing where we offer a tarball of the complete repo, and then you can download that tarball, move it to your disconnected server. You can install directly from the tarball, or you can use the tarball to create a local yum repo and run it from there. Sandeep, anything you want to add there?
No, you're right, Mark. For the installation that can be run disconnected, only thing is when you're launching the stack builder, which connects to the catalog and fetches the newer updates, only then it would need the internet connection. But otherwise, the installation can be done offline.
Okay, great. Another question that we have was what happens in unattended mode if the Postgres SQL server is already installed?
If it is already installed, and whether you are installing in unattended mode or attended mode, it would just will not recreate the cluster which it does in the fresh installation, uh, and that's it. It would just extract the new binaries. So let's say if we have the current version is 11.5 and you have installed 11.5 and now you're installing 11.6, the cluster is also already there. So 11.6 installer would detect that 11.5 is already there through the registry, and it would run in the upgrade mode. So it would not try to create the cluster again. And yeah, so that's the thing. So that's the difference
Okay,
between the fresh and the upgrade installation. So irrespective of the mode of installation, whether it is unattended mode or the GUI mode.
How does the installer handle major upgrades?
Major upgrades, it's like the two major versions can stay in parallel and can be installed
Okay,
on the same machine. Yeah. So that is not an upgrade; it's a different installation.
new
So
installation. Got it.
yeah, so you do a new installation, and then you would use PG Upgrade to do an in place or a remote.
Hmm.
Right, okay. Right.
we have another question. If the window installer breaks, is there a way to install or upgrade manually? Or would this be a job where you could have something such as the advanced SQL server and receive help?
Um, yeah, I mean, if our installer breaks, our support team will help you. So if you run into a situation where the installer doesn't work, please contact us at support@enterprisedb.com, and we'll work with you. If you're not a customer and don't want to contact us that way, go to postgresrocks.com and ask your question there. We also support through that medium, but that's on a best available basis.
So I think we
Right,
have
and
time.
you can, right, an
Right.
additional thing, there will be installation log that will be generated that would be present in the temporary directory on Windows. So where there you will find the installation log. So where you'll know why it failed the installation. So that can
All
also
right.
be sent, yeah, to the support.
It's a good question because you think, okay, what could break about it, right? You've tested it, why would it break? But what we found on Windows more than any other operating system is it just seems like there's so many different ways Windows can be configured that no matter how many permutations we test, somebody finds a permutation that doesn't work. And our team, digs into it. Sometimes takes days, of digging to finally find out exactly what aspect of that operating system is different than any other one, and then come up with a way of having the install work. And we've been doing it for so many years. I think we're pretty much down the road. But Windows keeps throwing us curveballs. At least that's what I've seen looking at some of the reports. You look at the error message and you're like, how in the world did they get that error message? But they have found a way, and we will dig into it and find out what is causing it.
Yeah, that's right, Bruce. Recently, I remember there was an issue reported, and which occurred only on Windows 10, no other version. So yeah, that was hard, but we fixed
Okay,
it.
no, you can finish.
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh,
Just
okay.
go.
We have time for one more question, and it's, can you update components of advanced Postgres SQL separately? For example, upgrade just PG admin.
Um, so you mean if you have already installed, let's say, the database server includes the stack builder and the pgadmin, so it doesn't include any other components much. So if you have
Uh,
not installed the stack, yeah, Mark,
But basically, so the answer is yes. The question is
yeah.
just how, right? So you saw before when Sandeep was demoing pgadmin, he got a little message saying, oh, the version of pgadmin that you've installed is not the most recent one. So he could have acted right then and there to go upgrade pgadmin separately, or he could have used Stack Builder to have Stack Builder do it for him. Okay. So there's multiple mechanisms of making sure that that you can update your components separately. If your system is connected through Stack Builder, I would recommend doing it through Stack Builder because that will use the registry, will put the file in the right place, and generally is a more, let's say, foolproof way of doing it.
All right. So that is all the time we have today for questions. For any of the questions that we didn't get to, we will be posting the answers to those on postgresrock.com, so you can check those out. We'll have the link for that in our follow-up email. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today.
Thank you. Thanks. And
Thank you.
again, don't forget to send us, you know, names and addresses so we can send you out a bunch of socks. Winter's coming.
What
Winter
email
is
address would they use for that, Mark?
Best they could send, best would be right now to put it into the questions for the current webinar. That way, you know, the question and the reward all come at the same time.
yes.
Okay.
If you post your address in the questions bar right now, we can download it afterwards, and I can make sure that everyone who asked a question today can receive a pair of socks. So I'm going to give you 8 seconds to type out your address.
And when you
Before
said
we
address,
end.
do you mean postal address or email address?
They really, we've been trying to stuff them into a USB slot. It doesn't
Right.
work.
So
So
it's
it's
got
got
to
to
be
be,
your postal address, right?
Yes, yes, please.
we send them to
Okay.
other countries, Mark, out to Europe and stuff?
Right now, it's going to be Europe and US.
Okay.
Pretty soon, we will have a new service provider who will help us make sure that we can distribute them worldwide.
Yes, soon anyone can receive. Yes, so upcoming items that we'll be giving out during webinars will continue with the socks. We'll also sometimes rotate with mugs. And a new addition is we're getting cute little EDB winter hats with an orange palm on top. So
Wow. I'm looking
exciting
forward
things
to
to
doing
come.
a webinar with a EDB hat with an orange palm on top. That's going to be the day.
So thank you everyone so much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.